Welcome to Scale Her Up, the show for female business owners and leaders who want to grow profitable, sustainable businesses without burning out. I'm Dr. Brenda Hector. I'm a business growth specialist helping women develop themselves and their businesses so they can achieve their goals and enjoy the lifestyle they dream of. In each episode, you'll hear inspiring stories, honest conversations, and practical strategies to help you start, grow, or scale your business. If you're new here, hit follow so you don't load, and come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to keep the conversation going. So today, I'm delighted to have Fiona MacEachern on the show with me. She's the Managing Director of the Loch Lomond Brewery. So Fiona, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if it's not really obvious, tell us what you do at what Loch Lomond Brewery is. Tell us about the business.
Loch Lomond Brewery is a brewery that I started back in 2011 alongside my husband, whereby I ran the business day to day and he would help at the weekends. It started as home brewing for a bit of fun, and then we realised we're actually not too bad at this. The beers are tasting pretty good, so we jumped in, lock, stock and barrel, and started brewing in the October.
You had a passion for beer?
Yes. Yep. I was one of the girls when I was younger. I drank export, I drank stouts, I drank beer in general. I very rarely had Bacardis and Coke like my friends did. So yeah, I was always more a beer type person than a spirit type person.
So on you go. I interrupted you there.
No, you're fine. We make all different types of beers. And in the last couple of years, we have launched another company within the same premises with a similar background in that we make spirits as well now. So we also own Levenbank Distillery, which is laying down whiskey barrels. And we also make gin, vodka and rum. So we have a few different branches to the business. Also in the brewery, we have our own little taproom. So people can come down and enjoy beers and spirits and just music, have the crack with their pals at the weekends. So yeah, we've got a few different branches. We've changed from being just a brewery to a brewery, a distillery, and also a little taproom.
So from starting off home brewing to now, how big are we talking? How many staff do you have? How many litres of pints of beer are you?
Oh Lord, we have, I think at the last count, 15 staff. I always think that's 15 mortgages. But yeah, we've got 15 members of staff. We make, I should know this off the top of my head, but we make, let me think the number is. I like to calculate it out. That's ridiculous. Around about 6,000 hectoliters per year. So yeah, a lot of beer.
So did you imagine when you started that you would get to this stage doing so much more? The whiskey, the gin, the vodka, the 6,000?
We had lots of desires and aspirations. I don't think you go into any business saying, if you have a coffee shop, are you just going to own one coffee shop and buy all the things in? No, you want to eventually start having a coffee shop and making the produce as well. We were a bit like that. We knew we wanted the brewery. We started that, but you could always see how it could develop and change. We always wanted our own tap room. That was from day one. We wanted our own tap room. It took us a little while to do that, but you can't stand still. You have to always be looking to see how it can improve. And I think since COVID, if anything that we've learned is you can't just have one single direct route to market. You need to have lots of different threads, different strings to your bow, as they say.
Absolutely. So you started yourself and your husband helped you at the weekends. Is he now more? Yeah.
He's been with me since about 2016 full time. We wanted to make sure that the business could support both of us. Like everybody else, we have a home, we have children, and put us both in the one business initially was a little bit scary. So I gave up my day job and ran the business from making it to selling it to delivering it to cleaning the equipment, everything. And he would help me do more production at the weekend. In the first 6 months, that's when I got my first member of staff. I'm delighted to say he's still with me, which is great. And we just slowly grew from there until 2019. We'd actually outgrown the premises we were in, and we moved to a new premises where we still are.
So 15 years, what have you learned about Fiona over those years?
Oh, what have I learned? I'm bad-tempered, but I'm also incredibly patient. I've always been bad-tempered, but I think I have learned that, oh Lord, that whatever's needing to be done will be done, come what may. If there's a problem, it just needs to be fixed. There's no point standing back and going, we've got an issue here, what are we going to do? We just have to keep going. And I think I'm quite tenacious. I'm also very stubborn. I've always been stubborn. I think it's probably helped me in this business.
I'm sure it has, yeah.
But yeah, like that, I always knew I was a hard worker, but knowing that the harder I work, it should always get easier.
That's a nice message. Yeah, a really nice
Yeah,
message.
I think you get tired, but you just put in that little bit extra effort. It will pay dividends. Even when you're at the end of the tether, you're exhausted, the day hasn't went to plan, stop, regroup, and just push that little bit harder. You'll always get it over the line.
I'm wondering, Elf, there, that when you were doing everything, you were doing the production, you were doing the selling, were there some things that was difficult to let go of as you grew? Or,
Oh man, everything.
yeah,
Everything. So as I grew, the first member of staff helped me doing sales and would help in production as well. And I then had to slowly let go of some of the production because I couldn't be in production and in the office selling and speaking to customers, because customers only knew me by face because I delivered to them. So more often than not, if someone answered the phone, they wanted to speak to me because they knew that I was the person that delivered, I was the person that took the order. So having to then say, actually, I'm better placed not always doing production. Perhaps I'm better placed being in the office. That was a horrible lesson to learn because the office isn't my favourite place. I'd rather be speaking to people outside or delivering or helping make the beer. But it took a long time for me to actually realise that. And I think that's the biggest issue that business owners have, is actually saying, what am I best at? What do people expect of me? And that's what I found really hard. I still do, because people still think I make the beer, and I don't. I get to speak to staff members. I get to speak to customers. I get to do lovely things like this. I get to chase people when they haven't paid the bills. All the things that are not always the best fun, but also some of the most important jobs, because if there's no money coming in, my staff don't get paid. My suppliers don't get paid.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I really like that. Look at the most important thing that you need to do and do that.
Yeah.
Early, yeah.
Yeah. When my husband came on board full time, he took over most of the production and he was supported by other members of staff. He'd always brewed with me at the weekends. And to be fair, making the beer was more his passion than mine, because as a team, we tended to do lots together anyway. So whilst I was good at it and I could do it, he was just that wee bit better. So him taking over production made 100%.
And bringing in staff then, going from one team member and your husband at the weekends in the first 6 months to now having 15 mortgages that you're paying.
Yeah.
Talk about that journey. There must be growing pains that come with that.
Yeah, I'm quite greedy. I like to hold on to all the jobs. Or I did then. I wasn't good at passing them on. So my first employee was actually somebody I knew who was actually a customer, and they came to work for me. So that was good. It was somebody I already knew. So I knew what they were good at already. But you're putting a lot of trust into somebody. So when we took people to support myself or my husband in the brewing process, we trained them up. And having to actually it's like handing your baby over to somebody who's never babysat your child before. It's quite scary. It really is quite scary.
Yeah. So how do you know that these are the right people to trust with your beer?
You don't. Trust is gained over a period of time, like in any relationship, in any friendship, because when we were very small, we only had 2, 3, 4 employees. And these people become very close, intimate friends because you know everything about everything. You're not at arm's length. You're literally working together. If something needs done, a van needs filled, everybody's working together. So you do get to become quite friendly with them. You get to know about their family. They get to know about your family. So it's very different to now. Whereas if I employ a new person now who's in production, I speak to them, I see them coming and going, we have good chats, but you don't know as much about them as what I would have done 10 years ago, for example.
So are you quite a people person then? Was that important, knowing the people well?
It wasn't, but we have got a lot of employees who we know that we have known who have said, I can do that job. Will you give me a chance? We went, yeah, okay. But we've also got people that have came to us that we've never known. And each one is as valuable as the other.
Good, good. I want to touch then on the working with your husband.
Yeah.
I worked with mine for a while, and a lot of people say, oh, I don't know how you could do that. I can't work can work with my partner. How do you make that work? Are there clear boundaries about talking about work? And
There are. Yeah, 100%. Whilst he still had his previous job, he would, at the end of the day, he'd be saying, so what happened? How did this go? Can we do this? And it got to the point where I was thinking about my work 24/7. He was only thinking about his work from 8 till 5 or so on. So what I would end up doing was actually saying, speak about it over dinner, and then that's it. It's done, it's parked, because I can't talk about it all day. It becomes too much. When we started working together, we would talk about things going home in the car. And then unless something was urgent, I would talk about things at night time. He still would. Well, I need to be able to take my brain out. And I don't think it's healthy to have that 100%. We are just a work couple. It's nice to have time where you don't speak about your work, because if I had a paid employment with the council or working with you, I would shut off at 5 o'clock. Okay, occasionally look at an email, occasionally look at a WhatsApp message. That's my choice. But to sit and talk about it day and night isn't good. It's not healthy.
That's good. It's a good message to anybody listening, actually.
Yeah. I think for your own sanity, you need your own time, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's just sitting watching telly. You need to have a time when your brain just doesn't think about work.
Yeah, and I think could be a big problem with business owners, founders that are knowing something to actually stay from it.
I think as well, when you work with your partner or your husband or your best friend, whatever that relationship might be, it could be quite poisonous if all you do is think about work and talk about work with that one person.
Yeah, you do want to stay married, don't you? Yeah.
But yeah, it's 25 years this year, so we've managed to.
Congratulations.
I don't plan to ruin it by talking about business all day.
So what have been the big challenges that you've faced then, Fiona, over those 15 years?
Oh, the biggest challenge is always going to be cash flow. As you grow, you need cash to be able to grow and develop and change. And I think that's across the board for every business. COVID wasn't much fun, but it wasn't fun for anybody. We were very lucky that we had a couple of very good accounts that kept us going. And we actually increased production and increased the number of staff over COVID because we make beer. People who were furloughed were drinking much more than usual. So we were fortunate that our business was, we kept our heads above water. On a personal note, over the last year to 18 months, I've been having treatment for cancer. So that has put a lot of strain on the business. So yeah, there's been lots of challenges, whether it be business, whether it be personal things. There's always challenges, but everybody has challenges, whether they're a business owner or whether they're an employee to a company.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
Cancer would be a challenge to manage your work and everything, whether you were, and that would
Even
be a
as
challenge for the business that you worked for. Yeah.
Exactly. Even if you're a stay-at-home mum, it's still a challenge because you still have to get up. You've got to feed the children. You've got to wash the clothes. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether you're the top of the chain or at the bottom of the chain or what you do. Illness will always affect you regardless, as did COVID. COVID affected people that didn't have a business because they were people who don't want to work for their husband or with their husband were actually 24/7 with their husband. And it's healthy for some people, it's not healthy for others.
I hope you're doing well. I hope
I'm doing great.
You're doing a good recovery, and we won't dig into the personal impact of cancer on you. But I'd like to, if you don't mind, dig into the impact on the business and how you navigated that within the business. I mean,
it's a strange one because every medical person tells you should be at home resting, not working. I would have went stir crazy. So I came to work most days. Don't get me wrong, if I didn't feel well, I went home. On chemo day, I didn't come to work. But I had chemo on a Friday. By Monday, I felt well enough to come to work and do stuff. So whilst I was physically here, I maybe was doing 50% of the work I was used to doing. It puts a strain on other members of staff because they're picking up the work. But I was still able to do some of the work, which was beneficial. I was able to answer telephones. I was able to answer emails. Sitting at home wouldn't have been good for me to have met through the same journey, whereby if they had went to work, it wouldn't have been good for them. Each person does what's right for them. And yeah, being at work was my support network.
Yeah, I guess it's a touch of normality that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I still get criticised for having been working in the full time, but the doctors and the medical staff who know me go, actually, we can see how that'd been best for you, because the treatment can affect you mentally. And I think I've done well to do as well as I have.
So it's about managing your mindset then, really, isn't it?
I think it's about managing what you expect of yourself and knowing what you can do. I'm not somebody that takes sick days. If I'm sick, I would still be at home working. With the treatment I was going through, there were some days where I just could not lift my head off the pillow. That was just the way it was. And those days I didn't come to work at all. But the days I felt well or well enough, I came to work. And it gave me continuity, it gave me routine, and that's what was important to me at the time.
If I'm just thinking now, knowing what you know now, if one of your team members is on the same, one of your staff is on the journey that you're on, because I think it's probably important as a business owner to understand how you should manage that for them. If a team member wanted to be coming into work like you were, would that work in the business? What does the owner or manager have to think about in that situation?
I think it depends on what the role is, 100%, because the last thing you want them doing is coming in and doing a manual job, which would make them more poorly. And at the end of the day, it has to be managed very carefully to make sure that it's right for the person. They shouldn't feel that they have to come in. But if they are not able to do the job, then you would have to manage that very carefully. Yeah. So I guess it comes down to what their job is and whether they're able to do the job or not, and if they're safe to do the job. There's lots of people who have treatment that makes them very weak. It makes them really quite poorly. In those instances, I wouldn't have been able to work. But I was very lucky that after my chemo, 3 or 4 days, which happened to land over the weekend, I was able to come back to work and be fit and healthy.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's good to think about, actually. Yeah, thank you. I'm just thinking about your business journey, and I know I talk to lots of business owners like yourself, and I know that it can be lonely at the top as a founder. I guess you have your husband there, but where else have you got support? Who's been your supporters over the years?
Early days, I was very lucky that Business Gateway were there, and I had a great contact in their early days. It's changed now. It's all been redesigned, shall we say. But early days, they were great. But more importantly, I'm a member of the Society of Independent Brewers, which is an organisation that is just for independent breweries like ourselves. And they have been really good. Thereby, we have competitions, we meet other brewers, we can compare notes, as simple as, have you tried a new hop or new grain, new yeast, these kind of things. Equally, how bad is trade just now, or isn't trade good, kind of conversation. So yeah, the whole ethos behind SIBA, as they're known, has been really beneficial. I can't praise them enough, to be fair.
Yeah, so support from other people that are on the same journey.
Yeah, and in the same industry, which is helpful. Yeah.
No, that's a really good shout, actually. There are probably lots of people who are struggling on their own when actually there might be a group somewhere that's going through the same
exactly
challenges, or that you can find a mentor or a friend to just talk things through.
100%. Even as simple as if you run out of an ingredient, you'd be on the phone to one of your near brewers going, listen, have you got this? Can I borrow it? Mine's not getting delivered till next week. Not a problem. And it's a reciprocal. It really is.
The other thing I wanted to dig into was the expansion, the adding of the different products to your portfolio, if you like. Is that something that was like in the plans from the start, or how did that, just talk me through the decision-making process?
So when you make beer, if you don't add hops into it, that's the very first stage of making a white spirit. So if you make whiskey, it starts that way. If you make vodka, it works that way. Great gin, it works that way. So we're already halfway there. We have all the equipment at the time apart from the still. So you're making the liquid that would eventually or could eventually become a spirit. So being halfway there already, it wasn't a huge step. It was more about getting licensing and getting the stills in place as well. So it was a natural progression for us to do that. There's not many breweries have done it in Scotland, but initially we moved into spirits such as vodka, gin and rum, or vodka and gin actually to start with. And it just seemed a natural progression to do the rum, and then came the whiskey. So the whiskey barrels have started to be laid down. We have lots of people who've actually bought whiskey barrels, and they're sitting in my warehouse here, and they come and they see it getting filled. They come and they're able to sign their cask themselves as well to say, this is Brenda's cask, for example. They get their document and we hold it for them until a certain date. And thereafter they can sell it back to us. They can sell it to another company who might use it for blended, or they can have it bottled, and they have X amount of bottled whiskey. So it's quite an exciting progress.
So is that something that you've done to enable to bring funds in to make it happen? Is that
Yes, 100%. Yeah. It's a two-way thing. Everything goes together to help the business grow and build, and selling the whiskey barrels was just another help towards that. So the customers have their own barrel of whiskey, they've paid for it, and it's going to just sit and mature nicely until it's ready to bottle.
So you've got the money, you're looking after that for them, and they can be telling their friends down the pub, I've got this barrel sitting there that we're going to get to in however many years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
and we don't intend to do lots and lots of whiskey barrels. We intend to keep it quite boutique, quite small. So we're not going to wash the whole of the country or wash the country with hundreds and hundreds of barrels of the same whiskey. And they're quite unique in that the customer can actually say, yep, I'd like a bourbon barrel, or no, I'd like a sherry barrel, or it's quite unique in what we do because we're very small. It's very boutique. There's a lot of then customers' choice goes into it. We can do peated, we can do unpeated. We can do different styles of wash as well to give different flavour profiles. So it's quite exciting.
yeah, it sounds amazing. As a gin drinker and married to a whiskey drinker, I think we'll have to pop down and see the setup, come the tap room or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the continued growth. Have you grown organically, or have you had investment? Or I know that one of the challenges that face female-led businesses is that access to investment. So I'm just wondering if you had a perspective on that.
100% agree. Access to investment is always very difficult. You've got to be able to show that you have got a business plan that's worthy of getting a loan or whatever. In 2019, we actually did a crowdfunding campaign. We raised £250,000, which that's not true. How much did we raise? I can't remember. So back in 2018, we did this crowdfund, and that allowed us to buy the new equipment to move into bigger premises, because we had reached maximum capacity in the old premises. So we have several hundred investors who have all bought into us, and they got their shares, obviously. As and when we're able to get be in profit, they get a share of that. And they also have their discount cards, so they're able to come and get discount from the business if they come by online or come into the shop as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great for a business to customer interaction there. I think it's, I love it. Yeah. I think it would be remiss of me not to ask about this when I've got a brewer on the podcast here with me. Yeah, I think you maybe know where this is going. I'm in Aberdeen, so I am quite close to the home of that big brewer that has had
You're near to Ellen and BrewDog.
A rise and fall. What happened at BrewDog? What's your perspective on that as a fellow brewer?
I know nothing. I can't say I know nothing. I can't guess what happened in the background. That is not something I would be willing to actually gossip about.
No.
What I would say is whether people like BrewDog or don't like BrewDog, they open the market's eyes to lots of new styles in the UK. Brewing industry be the way it is now. If BrewDog hadn't been, probably not. They were bringing in new and exciting American-style beers that weren't readily available in Scotland especially. So whether a person likes BrewDog, doesn't like BrewDog, agrees with what happened, disagrees, is not really the most important thing to me. What's important to me is the fact that they changed the industry so many years ago with what they did.
And they were so proudly disrupting the industry.
Yeah.
And when you talked about your crowdfunding and everything, and they're an amazing way of getting funding in, getting people bought in, getting people to feel like members of they were members of their business. And yeah, and
As I say,
there's not just breweries
yeah,
have been able to follow some of their models.
exactly. I think with them being so loud and disruptive, as you said, there was maybe more spotlight and they were highlighted more.
Yeah.
And when sadly they closed, it was much more visible to people. Whereas that type of, not that industry, but lots of businesses do that and have had similar issues further down the line, but we don't always hear about them because they're not maybe as vocal or as disruptive. But as I said, whether we like what happened or didn't is probably not the most important thing. It's the fact that they did change so much about people's ideas of beer and the palate, basically. Because up until then, pretty much everything in Scotland was Guinness or Tennent's, dare I say it, with a wee bit of...
Or MacEachern's Export or...
Yeah. Exactly. It was all big macro beers. And yeah, there were some microbreweries, there were some smaller breweries around, but they weren't shaking the industry up. They were filling a need in their own area, which was brilliant because that's what we started doing. But BrewDog did shake it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. So there's definitely been benefit for your business from what they did.
Yeah, probably. I can't see that there was anything that wasn't a benefit. It helped us have the courage possibly to start what we did.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think they've been very inspiring right up until very recently. And I think that what's happened recently will fade, but we'll still talk in a...
And everyone will have their own personal thoughts. I do myself, which I wouldn't air here.
That's
but
okay. Yeah.
As I said, if they hadn't started the way they did, there'd be a lot less breweries. When I started brewing back in 2011, there were only 42, 43 breweries, whereas now there's about 160. So it shows you how much it's changed in that time as well.
Yeah, so the industry's really grown over that time. That's brilliant. Yeah, sorry for putting you on the spot there.
No, not at all.
What comes next then for Loch Lomond Brewery and Levenbank Distillery? What's the next big goal?
We will continue growing. We have got desire to have a much, how can I put this? I think at some point the distillery will need its own building because we won't always be able to do everything on site with the brewery and distillery. So at some point the two will pull apart into different buildings, but we just keep doing what we're doing. We keep making beer, we keep making spirits and keep growing. That's all any of us can do really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. What advice would you have for another woman looking to start or scale her business?
Oh, I think you can't have self-doubt. You need to be honest and open with yourself. Don't doubt yourself, but be open and honest. And is it something you'd be happy doing 7 days a week? Because it is 7 days a week to start with. Can you manage it alongside your childcare or children, if you have children? Yeah. And as long as you can answer those questions, then do it. Because if you do it and you fail, that's a good thing. But not doing it is not a good thing because you've never achieved your full potential.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to live a life of regret. I wish I had started that, but
yeah.
I wanted.
You might start it and go, I wish I hadn't done it. But that's a better thing to do than say, oh, I wish I had, because you will never have known. You need to put more trust in yourself and do what you can.
Fantastic. And we didn't talk about the juggling of your children as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was a juggle. One of my employees got very good at doing homework with my children because sometimes, most days after school, they were at the brewery with me. So yeah, they would sit in the office doing their homework and they would be like, can you help me with this? So he would step in if I was on the phone and, yeah, you need to add this or do this.
Oh, bless.
So it was, yeah. My youngest was about 3 when we started. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, but a lot of people that I talk to start a business because they need flexibility with their, or actually employed role doesn't work for their family setup or whatever. It's
Yeah.
a common theme that comes up in these.
Yeah, it was actually it was the nail in the coffin that made us actually do it, was the childcare. I had 2 in primary school and 1 at nursery, and I had no backup. And at the time, I was a police officer, and unfortunately, I was working from 6 at night till 4 in the morning. I had a really horrible shift, and I would drive my children to meet my husband in town, go to my work, and he would take them home in the train to put them to bed. So it was becoming very tiring and wasn't good for them. In
No.
long short, it wasn't good for them, and there was no sight of it getting better. And that's when we started to really look at what can we do, because we're going to lose the children's youth running them back and forth to Glasgow, trying to pick up, drop off. It wasn't fun, and it really was. That was the final nail in the coffin. Went, do you know what? My work at that time was no longer family friendly. I took the plunge and jumped into business.
Any regrets at all?
The only regret is I would probably be due to retire very soon. If I stayed at my previous employment. When's retirement now? We don't quite know. That would be the only thing. Other than that, no. What we've got, we've worked hard for. It isn't always easy. And there is blood, sweat and tears. Not every day, but it's hard work. But it's our hard work and it's what we do. So yeah, no regrets for doing it.
I think I'm just going to stop there. I think that's the best message to end on. Fiona, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you very much.
There's no swear words either. I did well.
Well done. Thank you to you for listening to Scale Her Up. If you enjoyed this episode, follow the show and leave a review. It helps more female business owners to find us. Come and join our Scale Her Up Facebook community to get support, accountability and connection with other women who get it. And remember, only 1 in 3 UK entrepreneurs are female, and men are still 5 times more likely to scale their business beyond £1 million in turnover than women. When we start and scale our businesses to the same extent as men, we'll add £250 billion to the UK economy and create millions of jobs. So ladies, you can do it and your business can make a massive difference.